Hello, my friend, and welcome back to the Habit English podcast, the place where we explore small habits that create big change, not only in your English, but also in your life. Today's topic might sound simple, but it's one of the most powerful skills we can ever learn: the art of listening. Listening is often underestimated. It looks like a passive act. You sit there, you hear words, but true listening is anything but passive. It's active, it's intentional, it's transformative. It connects us to other people, helps us learn faster, and allows us to understand the world more deeply. When you think about it, listening is the first step in everything. It's how we learn to speak, how we learn to connect, and even how we learn to think. Let's start with language. If you're learning English or any language, listening is your foundation. Think about how you learned your first language as a child. You didn't open a grammar book or memorize word lists. You simply listened to your parents, to your friends, to the world around you. And slowly, without even realizing it, your brain began to understand. You picked up rhythm, tone, and meaning. Listening is how language truly enters you. It's not about studying, it's about absorbing. The more you listen, the faster you learn, because your brain starts to recognize patterns naturally. But listening doesn't just help you understand words, it helps you understand people. When you listen deeply, you're not just learning what someone says, you're learning how they say it, why they say it, and what they feel as they speak. That's the difference between hearing and listening. Hearing happens with your ears. Listening happens with your mind and your heart. In your studies, at work, or in everyday life, this difference is huge. When you listen actively, you reduce confusion. You understand instructions clearly, and you can respond thoughtfully instead of reacting quickly. Listening builds clarity. It's the root of all effective communication, in English and in life. Let's say you're in a meeting or a conversation. If you truly listen, not just to the words, but to the meaning behind them, you'll notice details others miss. You'll hear tone, hesitation, emotion, even silence. And all of that helps you understand what the other person really means. But listening also has emotional power. When you listen to someone, really listen, you're sending a silent but powerful message. You matter. Your words matter. Your feelings matter. In our fast, noisy world, attention has become rare, almost sacred. So when you give someone your full attention, you're giving them something priceless. Simple things like keeping eye contact, nodding, or pausing before you reply show that you value the other person. And when people feel valued, trust begins to grow. Trust is the foundation of every strong relationship, and listening is what builds it. Think of a close friend, a teacher, or a loved one you truly trust. What makes you feel connected to them? It's not just what they say, it's that they listen. They hear you without interrupting, without judging. That's what makes you feel safe to open up. When we listen, we create space for honesty. When we feel heard, we begin to trust. And trust strengthens every bond, in love, in friendship, in teamwork, and in learning. Listening also teaches empathy. Empathy means feeling what another person feels. And it begins with being quiet, curious, and open. Deep listening allows us to step into someone else's world. It helps us see life from their perspective. And that's powerful because it humanizes people. It reminds us that behind every opinion, every reaction, every emotion, there's a story. For example, in healthcare, studies show that patients who feel their doctors truly listen are more satisfied and often recover faster. Why? Because empathy itself is healing. It's not just about understanding words, it's about understanding emotions. Now, let's bring this back to language learning again. When you listen to English through podcasts, movies, or conversations, you're not just training your ears, you're training your intuition. You start to feel the language, not just translate it. You begin to notice humor, tone, sarcasm, and all those subtle meanings that no textbook can teach you. You learn what sounds polite, what sounds casual, what sounds emotional. And slowly, you begin to think in English, because listening reshapes the way your mind processes meaning. Of course, listening takes patience. Sometimes you won't understand everything, and that's perfectly fine. Even in your own language, you don't catch every single word. What matters is that you stay present. Focus on the main idea, the rhythm, the feeling. Let your brain fill in the gaps. It's smarter than you think. If you need help, use subtitles at first. Match what you hear with what you read. Over time, you'll rely on them less and less until one day you realize you don't need them anymore. Here's a simple daily habit you can try. Pick one thing in English, a podcast, a short video, or a song. Listen to 10 or 15 minutes a day. Not with pressure, not for perfection, just with curiosity. Ask yourself, what am I really hearing? Not just the words, but the tone, the emotion, the energy. Over time, this habit will change you, not only as an English learner, but as a communicator, a listener, and a human being. Listening doesn't just open your ears, it opens your heart. It helps you slow down. It helps you connect. And it reminds you that understanding is more powerful than speaking. There's a quote I love. Most people don't listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. But if you can reverse that, if you can listen to understand, everything changes. In a noisy world, being a good listener is like being a quiet lighthouse. You don't have to speak the loudest. You just have to be present. And that presence draws others in. So whether you're listening to English for practice or listening to someone you care about, remember, listening is not just a skill. It's a gift. It's the bridge between minds and the language of empathy, patience, and love. Here's your gentle challenge for the week. Listen with intention. Listen without rushing. Listen not to reply, but to understand. If you do that, even for a few minutes a day, you'll notice your English improving naturally. You'll feel more connected to others, and maybe you'll start to understand yourself a little better too. Malchev, thank you for spending this moment with me on the Habit English podcast. Remember, every time you listen, you're not just learning words. You're learning connection. You're learning empathy. You're learning life. So keep listening, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next episode.